All right, here we go. The Horse Lord's Ire, the third quest in the first Along Extended Party Deluxe box, the Children of Eorl. All right, here we go. It is Thieves and Coursers. Setup. Add stolen steeds to the staging area. Set Thrunk. We'll go with Thruck. The mount objectives. And the 8 enemies from the Orc Host encounter set aside out of play. Shuffle the encounter deck. The first player reveals Flint Hoof and Bright Mane and adds them to the staging area. Then each other player discards cards from the encounter deck until a location or enemy is discarded and adds it to the staging area. And I totally did not spend 3 or 4 minutes trying to find the fourth mount objective. I just assumed there would be 4. Okay, Stolen Steeds. It's an objective. Mount objectives cannot be discarded or leave play. If a mount objective is not attached, a player must claim it and attach it to a hero they control. Forced, at the end of the round, add 1 progress to the main quest for each mount objective the players control. Then, raise each player's threat by 1 for each mount objective in play the players do not control. We need to grab the orcs out of this set and shuffle in the rest of the cards. Alright, so we will add Flint Hoof. He is going to be guarded by an enemy. He's restricted. The enemy guarding Flint Hoof gets +1 attack. The attached hero is going to get +1 attack. And then combat action, we can exhaust Flint Hoof to deal 1 damage to an enemy in play. Very cool. Bright Mane is going to be guarded by a location. The location guarding Bright Mane gets +1 threat. I immediately forget that, but I remember later. And then the attached hero is going to get +1 willpower. Quest action, we can exhaust Bright Mane to take a look at the top card of the encounter deck. If that is a location, we can discard it. Side 1B, 6 quest points. This stage cannot be defeated unless the players control 2 mount objectives. Who's going to be helping us? Well, it's a lot of Rohan people. We got Eomer, 10 threat, tactics 1, 3, 2, 4. Rohan Noble Warrior, response, after a character leaves play, which is going to happen a lot, Eomer gets +2 attack until the end of the round. We also have Lothiriel, a 3/1/1/3. Gondor Noble, if Eomer is in play, Lothiriel gains the Rohan trait. Response, after Lothiriel commits to the quest, choose an ally in your hand. If that ally shares a trait with her, put that ally into play exhausted and committed to the quest. At the end of the phase, if that ally is still in play, shuffle it into your deck. The important thing is you are not discarding that ally. I'm going to explain why that's important, because we also have Thingol. He's an 11 threat spirit hero, 3/1/3/4. Rohan Noble Warrior, response, after an ally is discarded. That's why it matters. After an ally is discarded from play, that ally's owner searches the top 5 cards of their deck for an ally that shares a trait with the discarded ally, and we put it into play exhausted, and then we shuffle our deck. So the ally that you must shuffle into your deck from Lothiriel does not trigger Thingol, but it's still a very powerful ability that he has. So this playthrough is going to be my 3rd attempt at this quest. The first 2 attempts were losses. I made some changes to the deck for this attempt, and I'm going to show what caused me to lose at the end of this video if you want to stick around to the end and see me lose. So let's see the opening hand I got. I got a Rohan ally, another Rohan ally, another Rohan ally, another Rohan ally, hey, a 5th Rohan ally, and need Brooks no delay. Okay, that's an excellent starting hand. All those Rohan allies, I'll explain what they do when they come into play. The Need Brooks no delay is a great card to get on your opening turn. If you have 3 Rohan allies, it's only going to cost 1. And yeah, all I really need is the Horn of the Mark, and that would have been just about perfect. Okay, so now I'm going to discard some cards until I get the cards I need to add as a guarded card. So here's the guarded location. I don't have to trigger Doomed because I'm adding it to the staging area. So that's going to be guarded by Bright Mane, and the next card was an enemy. This is going to be guarded by Flint Hoof. We'll explain what that guy does later. So I should have had 5 threat in staging, but I only put 4. I forget the guarded attachment there. Should have added 1 threat, but I do correct that later. All right, let's start round 1. Everyone's going to get some money, and I'm going to draw a card, and the card I draw is a Westfold Lancer. All right, so I have 6 Rohan allies. Wonderful. Okay, let's play Need Brooks no delay. So planning action, search the top 10 cards of your deck for a card of a printed cost of 2 or less, 3 or less if it's unique. I'm going to set it aside, I'm going to shuffle my deck, and then I'm going to play the set aside card for no cost, as if it was in my hand. And this card costs 1 less for each Rohan hero I control. So that is wonderful. So this is just going to cost 1. I'm going to get to look at the top 10 cards of my deck, and I'm going to get to put something in for free. So let's see what I can find. I'm very hopeful that I'm going to find an excellent card. I mean, 10 is really deep. Ooh, and there's one. Gambling. That is hard to say no to. Okay. Ooh, we also got Theodwyn. Oh, Firefoot. Also good. Another Firefoot. Quick Strike. Those are 2 cards I added to this deck that Shellen had made. Yeah, Gambling. I think I'm going to have to go with Gambling over Firefoot. The reason being is I have an Escort from Edoras in my hand. So what I can do is I can use Letheriel's ability to put the Escort from Edoras into play in the quest phase. And then Gambling says, response, after a Rohan ally you control is discarded from play, exhaust Gambling to return that ally to your hand. And the Escort from Edoras is discarded before Letheriel would have you shuffle it into your deck. So you actually are discarding the Escort from Edoras, which is really good because then Gambling and Thingol will both trigger off of that discard. Let's also put into play the Deeping Bowman. He's devoted, so as long as all of your heroes share a trait with him, you can put him into play without a sphere match, and I can discard him to get rid of the defense of an enemy. Okay, the Westfold Lancer is going to come into play with Letheriel's ability. So I committed her to the quest, and then after I quest, hopefully, successfully, I can deal 2 damage to an enemy by discarding that Westfold Lancer. So we are sending 8 against 5, actually, and we get a Spoiled Pasture. It's X, where X is equal to 2, plus 2 for each of the mount objectives we control. So that ramps up. But it's only 2 right now, so we actually make 1 progress. Like I said, I'm going to adjust this back down to 1 once I remember. So we did quest successfully. So I will choose to discard the Westfold Lancer before Letheriel's shuffle it back into my deck ability triggers, deal 2 damage, and then I can exhaust Gambling since I discarded this ally and put it back in my hand, and then I can trigger Thingol's ability since I discarded the ally. Search the top 5 for an ally that shares a trait with the one that just left and put it into play discarded. Ooh, and we get Morwen Steel Sheen. So she's excellent. So after a Rohan or Gondor ally leaves play, I can exhaust her to either heal 2 damage on a character or reduce my threat by 1. So that is great. I am building a Rohan engine. My plan is to have a series of very helpful things happen every time I quest, and it's looking like I'm going to be able to do that so far. Going well. Okay, let's look at the Vast keyword. I went to Vision of the Palantir to look up what the Vast keyword does. And it says the Vast keyword appears on some locations in this cycle and represents the large distances the players must travel when journeying from place to place within Rohan. Each location with the Vast keyword is considered to be a vast location with the following additional text. To travel, each player must either exhaust a mount attachment or a hero they control, and then response. After placing progress on this location from questing successfully, even if this location is explored, we're going to place additional progress on any vast location for each mount attachment the players control. Dripping with theme. I love it. All right, so I will exhaust a hero to travel there, so we have to clear that 6 progress location. And now we have this enemy. I do not want to engage it. So we will go to the end of the round, which means I raise my threat, I ready everybody, and then I have to trigger the Stolen Steeds, which says raise my threat for each mount objective I don't control, so I will do that. I draw Grimbold, so he is like an ally feint. I can discard him to cancel an enemy attack. So now looking at my hand, I'm going to save up my spirit resources, so I'm not playing anything. I'm just going to commit Morwen and Letheriel to the quest. I'm going to pop in this Escort from Edoras, who's questing for 4. So now I am questing for, I think, 9 against 5. And I get, okay, another Spoiled Pasture. So, oh man, my threat in the staging area is just going to skyrocket once I get one of these steeds. So I do place 2 progress on a vast location. I control no mounts, so I don't get to place any extra. And now we get to start doing the Rohan engine repeatable. So Escort from Edoras is going to get discarded. Gambling's going to exhaust and put it back in my hand. Thingol is going to let me search my top 5 cards for an ally that shares a trait with the escort from Edoras. I will choose Hama. Hama comes into play exhausted. So that is good. I have a really good defender now in play. You put your other cards back in your deck and give them a shuffle. So I should be able to do that every single round. And if I can keep Morwen unexhausted, because she triggers when somebody leaves play, I can actually drop my threat back down. So let's do some combat. We're going to engage this guy. He has an ability that triggers if he's not guarding an objective mount, so we don't need to worry about anything. Éomer is boosted, so he currently has a 5 attack. Thingol's going to defend for 3, and the shadow says raise your threat by 2 if the active location is vast, so we will do that. Thingol actually takes 2 damage because this guy's attacking for 1 more. And then I can attack for 5 plus 1 for a total of 6, and we're going to take this guy out. And in doing so, we will reclaim one of our stolen steeds. So we get Flint Hoof, and he's going to give Éomer plus 1 attack, and then I can exhaust him to deal a damage to an enemy in play. So that is excellent. So Éomer is now attacking for 6. Okay, stolen steeds will trigger and raise my threat by 1, and because I control 1 mount objective, I could have placed a progress on the active location, but I forgot. Okay, I draw Worthy of Remembrance, so that is a direct damage effect in the combat phase, so that's pretty good. Okay, I have 4 spirit resources. So who do I want to get in? I am looking at you, Theodwyn, and I'm also looking at you, Horse Whifferer. So let's take a gamble, and we're going to play the Horse Breeder. Look at my top 10, and I'm going to try to find a mount. So it'd be really awesome to find one. There's one, a new one, Light-Footed Steed. Okay, that's pretty good. And that's going to have to be it. So I get the Light-Footed Steed. And then now I'm going to play Theodwyn. So when Theodwyn enters play, I can either draw a card or add a resource to a noble hero. So I will add a resource, and then I will spend that resource on the Light-Footed Steed. And Light-Footed Steed says when a character leaves play, exhaust the steed. I can ready the attached hero. If that character was unique, the attached hero gets plus 1 attack until the end of the round. So let's put that on Thingol. So now after he quests, he will be able to ready. I am going to be sending 13, and we get another vast location. So these all have effects that say if the active location is not vast and they are in the staging area, they do things. So I'm going to place the progress, and then because I control 2 mounts, I get to place 2 additional progress. So 1 will clear the active, and 1 will go on the vast location in the staging area. And now I get Brightmane. And that's me remembering I should have only had 1 progress on the quest. I remembered Brightmane added that threat, so I got that right. Brightmane, of course, will go on Letherial, so now she is questing for an additional 1. And I'm also going to get to look at the top card of the encounter deck and see if it's location. All right, so I'm doing all the things. Thingol is going to put Squire of the Mark into play, so that's a great way to have a discarded ally come back into play. So Squire of the Mark is in play now. I can trigger Morwen because she was not exhausted and drop my threat. So yes, the engine is working very, very well. Let's, since I'm still in the quest phase, take a peek. And it is a location coming up, so there's no reason to not have that as my top card. And we will travel to another vast location. There is literally no reason for me to want to place progress on the main quest right now, because with Morwen dropping my threat back down every single round, I can just stall here forever as long as I have locations coming and just keep building an army. So I placed 2 progress with the Stolen Steeds because I controlled 2 mounts. I put in Grimbold, and we're going to commit characters to the quest. So I am going to bring back in the escort from Edoras, and I am sending 16 against what I know to be 13. Man, those 2 soiled pastures are tons of threat. But I do clear the vast location. I had another one in the staging area. Let's place progress on that vast location because I have 3 mounts. So I was able to progress through the one that was active, and I was able to place 3 extra. All right, going through all this quickly because you've seen it before. Thingol is going to find me Elfhelm, and then Brightmane is going to take a peek, and I have a side quest coming that adds 3 quest points to all of the vast locations. So I will travel to that vast location. And then at the end of the round, I get to place 2 progress on it. So Yep, going to start playing a little fast because it's just the same thing over and over again. I once again have no enemy coming, so I can just keep redoing the engine over and over again, building an army, getting more allies into play, and eventually I will have to advance, but right now there's literally no point. I am not raising my threat, so let's just keep doing the same thing. I clear the active location. I have no more vast locations in play, so I don't get to place any extra progress. We'll go through all this. Thingol's going to take a look. And I don't find anything I can put into play because I have pretty much put in every unique ally I have in the deck. So it's getting harder to find things. Okay, so that side quest makes me find a vast location. So I did find one. So I can exhaust lots of mounts or heroes to travel there. So let's do that. And then at the end of the round, I can place 2 progress on it. And I draw Horn of the Mark. Okay, that's great. So that is like the final piece of my Rohan engine. I'm also going to put into play Rittermark Knight, and then Brightmane finds me an enemy that's going to engage me when it's revealed, so I don't really know what I'm up against. All right, sending a ton of willpower on the quest, and my actual card is a 3-threat, vast location, Windworn Village. Okay, so I make some progress. Let's place that on the active location. I have 3 mounts, so I can place 3 extra progress, and that's what I need thanks to that side quest. So I do clear the active location, and then, let's trigger the now 6-cylinder, major horsepower Rohan engine. This is absolutely incredible what I can do. Escort from Edoras is discarded from play. I will exhaust Gambling to put it back in my hand. Morwen will drop my threat by 1. I will then trigger the Light-Footed Steed to ready Thingol. I will trigger the Horn of the Mark to draw a card, and I get the Golden Shield, and then I will trigger Thingol to look for a card that shares a trait with the Escort from Edoras, and put that card into play, exhausted, and it's a West Road Traveler. The engine starts with Ethereal, Escort is the gas, and Rohan is here. I feel like this has to be some sort of ultimate achievement unlocked thing that I just pulled off here. All right, let's travel to a spoiled pasture and get some of that monster threat out of the staging area. That thing was 6 threat. So now I have a vast location in staging, and the active location is not vast. So that is making me discard a card from my hand, and I discard one of those Lancers. Okay, no problem. And then, combat. Haven't had combat in a while. So let's take the attack. Hama can defend. He can boost himself if I need to. He didn't need to boost himself. And boy, do I have enough attack back? Yes, I do. Okay, so that guy is dead. I didn't trigger Hama's ability, so he gets to stick around. It takes me quite a while to ready everybody, and I draw another Rittermark Knight. Man, I just draw these allies, and I have so many attachments that I have not found yet out of this deck. But one of them that I did find is the Golden Shield, so when Thingol defends, he can get a defense boost based on willpower. Brightmane's going to take a peek, and it's a good thing I just played that 5th attachment, since Overburden makes me discard 2 attachments if I control 5 or more. So I am going to be losing 2 attachments. All right, there you can see everybody committed to the quest. I'm sending a lot. I want to go against that side quest, and I do have to discard 2 attachments, so it looks like I cannot hold on to any of my own mounts or shields. And yeah, we definitely make the progress here. So I don't get to do any of the vast stuff because I didn't place progress on a vast location, but I did clear the side quests, and now I get to trigger all of this stuff again. So Horn of the Mark draws me Morwen, and let's do Thingol's ability. Thingol finds me Eomer. Okay, so if he leaves play, I ready all Rohan characters, which, as you could see, would be pretty freaking amazing. All right, so let's travel to that vast location. I'm going to exhaust whatever. And then I get to raise my threat by 1. I place 2 progress thanks to Stolen Steeds. And my Rohan army is absolutely built. There is no reason to stall anymore. So even if a location is coming, I'm going to try to advance to stage 2. Okay, I draw another copy of Theoduin. Let's go right into the quest phase. It is a location, so I am going to advance. I'm going to try to place the remainder of the progress needed. So let's send what I need to place the progress, and we're going to plan on advancing to stage 2 this round with a Rohan army that I can't imagine being any better than what I have in play here. If this doesn't handle this quest, I don't know what would. Okay, so 2A, the King's Stallion, when revealed, if it is the combat phase, we're going to end the phase. We're going to shuffle the encounter discard pile into the encounter deck. We're going to add Thruk to the staging area, guarding Felaroff, and then if there are any other players in the game, they would each discard encounter cards until they get an enemy and put that enemy in play engaged with them. 2B, 8 quest points. Thruk cannot take damage unless there's 4 progress tokens on the stage at least, and we can't advance unless we control all 3 mount objectives. Felaroff is guarded by an enemy. It's going to be Thruk, and he's going to give him 2 additional shadow cards, but when we control it, we get to discard a shadow card. And Thruk is a 50 engagement, 4/5/4/8. He's immune. He engages the first player, and then at the beginning of the combat phase, if he's not guarding an objective, he's going to make an immediate attack. So let's shuffle in the encounter discard pile. And you might have noticed I placed 3 progress on that vast location in the staging area. I was thinking I still controlled the light-footed steed, so that is a mistake. All right, Horn of the Mark drew me Horn of the Mark, and let's see if Thingol can find me somebody that shares a trait, and he does. I get the Westfold Lancer, okay? I used Morin's ability to heal Thingol this time, and then I think I will travel to this other 6 threat location because it's going to go up to 8 once I get that other mount, and I have to raise my threat because I don't have a vast location as my active, and that's what the vast location in staging says. A lot of the shadow cards trigger off of the location being a vast location. So let's see. Oh yeah, here we go. So if the active location is a vast location, deal a damage. And if the active location is vast, the attacking enemy makes an additional attack. So yes, it is very good to not have a vast location as your active location when you're getting attacked by something really nasty. Okay, so I'm going to trigger Hama's ability, and then when he would get discarded at the end of the round, he's going to come back into play thanks to the Squire. So Hama defended for 5, no problem there. I'm going to raise my threat an additional 1 because there's 1 mount I don't control, but then I get to place 2 progress because I control 2 of the mount objectives. Let's go into the next round. And the card I draw is another West Road Traveler. I can't draw any of these attachments that I would like to have, and geez, do I have a lot of cards. That was always a problem with the old Rohan decks, right? You never could keep the cards in hand. You couldn't afford to put stuff back into play. That seems to all have been fixed. Okay, the West Road Traveler lets me do a swap, so I think I will. I'm going to make the vast location the active location during the quest phase, and then I can travel back to that other spoiled pasture. Brightmane's going to take a peek, and we have an enemy coming. I will put in the escort from Edoras, like we always have been doing, and I can calculate exactly how much progress I need once I reveal this enemy. So I'm going to clear the vast location. There's no more vast locations in play, so I don't get to trigger any of those effects. I'm just trying to get all my triggers right. All right, so I placed 6 progress. It should have only been 5, but there is characters with 1 willpower I could have sent on the quest to balance this out. All right, Horn of the Mark draws me Hama, so I have an extra Hama now. I will take a sandwich with extra Hama. And then, yep, Thingol gets me nothing, just a lot of great cards I would like to just draw. Okay, Morwyn is going to drop my threat down, and then I will trigger the Westfold Lancer and do 2 damage to this enemy. So he says when he attacks, deal it 2 additional shadow cards. I can attach an objective mount to this guy to cancel that effect. No, I have a different plan. Okay, so at the beginning of combat, I don't need to worry about an extra attack because Thruk is guarding an objective, and now I deal out the shadow cards, and then an action window opens up. I'm going to play Worthy of Remembrance to discard a Rohan ally to deal 2 damage, 4 damage if that ally was unique. And now I'm going to trigger Squire of the Mark. So I'm going to discard the Horse Breeder, and then I'm going to use Squire of the Mark to put it back into play exhausted. But because she came into play, I get to search my top 10 cards for a mount. Come on, Firefoot. Firefoot, 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 Nope, okay. But I did get Snowmane, so that's going to help me ready Thingol when he quests. So, okay, I got Snowmane. Looking forward to finally putting in one of my mounts since I lost the only one I've ever played, so let's do that. All right, so this guy's dead. He took 2 direct damage from Worthy of Remembrance, so that's great. And now Hama is going to defend. He's going to use his ability, so he's defending for 5. No shadow. And that reminds me, why didn't I travel? I should have traveled. Okay. Discard a random card from your hand. If the active location is vast, raise your threat by 2. Okay. There was no reason not to travel, so I was thinking about combat and I forgot to. All right, and the card I get rid of is Snowmane. I guess I am not playing any of my own mounts this game. This is just crazy. All right, lots of people are ready to attack, including Eomer, who's attacking for 6. So we can definitely take that guy out. And now we get a hold of Felor, the King Stallion. And we're going to attach that to the King Thangle. So now I can get rid of a shadow card. So that's pretty cool. Let's raise my threat by just 1. And then I get to place 3 progress. And that does kick me over to 8. So that's why I said, you can see I still have ready characters with 1 willpower. So let's just assume I sent one of them on the quest to make this all balance out for that mistake I made earlier. 3A, the Sweeping Tide when revealed. If it is the combat phase, end the phase. Shuffle the encounter discard pile into the encounter deck. We're going to search the victory display for Thruk and add him to the staging area. And then we're going to choose 2 enemies from the set-aside Orc Host enemy encounter set and put them in play engaged with us. One of them must be the Orc Battalion. Well, that can't be good. All right, 3B, skip the staging step. If the encounter deck is ever empty, we're going to shuffle the discard pile back in. When an enemy makes an attack, it gets an additional shadow card. And if a mount objective is ever attached to an enemy, we automatically lose. If there are no enemies in play, we win the game. So a big battle, and we get to skip the staging step, but we're going to have 3 big baddies engaged with us here. So the Orc Battalion, this guy is terrible. 37 engagement, doesn't matter though. 3737. Orc Battalion cannot take combat damage while being attacked by fewer than 3 characters. And then forced, after a character is declared as an attacker against the Orc Battalion, we deal a damage to that character. Okay, that's nasty. Then the other one I picked was a Servant of the Eye, and he's a 2/3/2/3. Doomed 1, don't have to do that. Forced, when he makes an attack against you, raise your threat by 1. Okay, well, I have a massive Rohan army, and we are going to end the round here, and I don't need to make any progress, so everything just comes down to combat. Hama does have to leave play, but that's okay. I have that extra 1 in hand, so I will be playing him this round. And I draw, well, that's extremely useful. I draw Quick Strike, which is huge, actually. That is a card I added to this deck after losing a couple times, and I think that's going to be an amazing card to play this game, especially this round. Okay, Hama coming into play. Looking at my hand, yeah, I want to save resource for that Quick Strike. I don't need to worry about questing anymore, so I'll pay 2 resources to put the Escort from Edoras into play so they can defend. The quest phase still happens even though we're skipping the staging step, so I will use Brightmane to take a peek at what card's going to be the first shadow card, and unfortunately it's a Bridal Biter, and his shadow says I put him into play engaged with me and deal him a shadow card. And Thruk says he makes an attack at the beginning of the combat phase if he's not guarding an objective, and he gets an additional shadow card, and I'm not sure if I'm supposed to not know which shadow card is which, like if they get mixed up. There is an action window that opens up after you declare a defender, so I could have got rid of one. So the one shadow says, if I control a mount objective, either attach it to the attacking enemy as a guarded objective, well, that would cause me to lose the game, or I have to discard the defending character after this attack. And I did double check. I can choose option 2, even if I know that character is going to die after this attack. So I chose option 2, so I don't lose the game. And then the other shadow, of course, is that Bridal Biter. So he is now engaged with me with a shadow card. The Escort from Edoras is going to leave play. Horn of the Mark draws me Snowmane. Again, I'm not really sure if I could have got rid of that Bridal Biter on purpose, like knowing that that shadow card was that, or if these shadow cards are supposed to be kind of mixed up. But at any rate, now we're in the combat phase proper. Everybody's going to get dealt a shadow card, and let's have ourselves a good old battle. Okay, first, now I'm going to trigger Grimbold, and I'm going to cancel the Orc Battalion attack, since he's attacking for, 7. That Orc Battalion is going to be a real pain to kill. I got to try to do it with direct damage, if at all possible, because attacking it is going to be really tough. Okay, so that's one of the 4 attacks that are coming. Now I think I will trigger Thingol's ability and see what I can find. Okay, I got another escort from Edoras, but I also have a Westfold Lancer. Okay, so let's put that Westfold Lancer into play since I discarded a ally. So he's exhausted, but he should be pretty helpful next turn. And then I take a pretty long time and really kind of analyze the board state and try to figure out how to handle this. So let's have Quick Strike happen. So let's pay 1, and we can declare somebody as an attacker against an enemy. And I'm going to choose one of these Rittermark Knights. I'm going to trigger its response, so it gets +2 attack. And I'm going to attack this Servant of the Eye. He has 1 hit point remaining, so I will exhaust Flinthoof and deal the final damage there. So we're going to take him out. I didn't want to use Éomer for that Quick Strike because I think I'm going to need his 6 attack to take out Thruk. Alright, so Hama is going to exhaust and ready himself. So now he's defending for 5. Here come the shadows. If the active location is vast, if the active location is vast, and raise your threat by 1 for each objective. Okay, so I raised my threat by 3. That's pretty bad. You could easily lose if you got hit by that shadow twice and had to raise your threat by basically 6 at the end of the game. Okay, so now the Horse Breeder is going to take this big attack, and it says +1 for each mount I have, and if the active location is vast. Yeah, I don't think you want to be at a vast location during this final fight. That seems like it would make all these shadows trigger. I'm going to have Morrowind drop my threat after that character leaves play. And if you're wondering, hey Chad, why didn't you discard any of those shadow cards? Well, I forgot. I could. Actually, I forget for the rest of the game. I forget that's even an ability. But that, whatever. Okay, so now let's do some attacking. So Éomer is attacking for 6. All right, Hama is swinging in. Elfhelm is going to join. I'm going to have Lothiriel is even going to help. And so is Éomer, and that is enough to take care of Thruk. At this point, I think this is when I remember I should have discarded that Rittermark Knight that I triggered the ability of. So let's put him out of play. And then my remaining characters with attack power can kill the Bridal Biter. So that was pretty good. I'm going to use Gambling to pull Hama back into my hand. And at the next turn, we draw Need Brooks No Delay. Well, that's good. Okay, so that's almost my entire deck, top 10 cards. Let's see if I can't get Firefoot, and maybe I'll be able to pull off something pretty cool. I guess I just really don't even know what else I could be possibly looking for. Everything else is already in play. Okay, well, there's Firefoot, so it was a pretty good chance. Quick Strike I can't do because I have to play it, and Quick Strike couldn't kill that guy. So, yep, let's put Firefoot into play. So now I have trample damage that I can do. So if I get another enemy, like a Bridal Biter as a shadow, I can trigger Firefoot and do some direct damage. So let's see. I forget to take a peek with Brightmane. I forget to discard a shadow, but that's okay. Let's chump, and my first shadow is a Bridal Biter. So that is going to come into play. So he gets dealt a shadow, and the other shadow had nothing. So I'm going to lose a West Road Traveler. That's fine. I got allies to spare. I draw a Horse Breeder with the Horn of the Mark. We get an extra shadow card here. They always get extra shadows thanks to the stage 3 effect. And the shadow is, okay, that same one where I get a choice. So I'm going to choose to discard the defending character. And I get another Bridal Biter. All right, yeah, I should probably remember now to trigger that get rid of a shadow card. But no, nope. I'm going to keep forgetting. So Hama's going to defend. He's going to ready himself. He's attacking, or he's defending for 5. Okay, if the active location is vast, and then no shadow. All right, so let's have some fun. So let's attack for enough to kill one of the Bridal Biters. And then Éomer is going to attack the other one by himself, and he's attacking for 3 + 2 + 1 from his mounts, + 2 more because the character left play. So that's enough to kill that Bridal Biter, and I can do 3 trample damage. And then I can trigger Worthy of Remembrance, and I'm going to pull back a unique character. I'm going to discard it, and that lets me do 4 direct damage, which gives me the 7 damage that I needed to do on the battalion, so I never actually had to declare an attacker against it, and that battalion is dead. I have no enemies engaged with me. I have all the mounts, and I have defeated the final quest in the first a long extended party deluxe box. Okay, let's see a turn where I lost, and then my final thoughts. Okay, this was my very first time playing this deck and playing this quest. As you can see, I accidentally put a Gondorian shield in the deck instead of a golden shield, but I just flew through stage 1. Didn't build up much of an army at all, and in fact, I hadn't drawn many allies. And yeah, I was not ready for this big attack coming from Thruk with his 3 shadow cards. So I defended with a 1 hit point ally, and my active location was Vast, so additional attack coming. So this is where I learned, do not have a Vast location as your active location when you're getting attacked by a great big baddie. So the additional attack is going to be against the other 1 hit point ally, and I have to deal damage to her. So now it's going to be undefended. And then you get this one where I have to give it a mount, since I just lost the ally thanks to that first shadow. And then I have to raise my threat by 2. So now this attack is undefended. He stole a mount. I'm raising my threat by 2. And so I just lost a hero because I have to assign the undefended damage to a hero. So obviously that's going to be a loss since I'm only on stage 2. So that was my first game. The next game, I made it to stage 3, slightly better board state, but my threat is a big issue. I've had a bunch of shadows that made me raise my threat, and I am going to get attacked by the 3 enemies, but I learned my lesson, and I'm not at a Vast location. So I'm going to defend with Theoduin against the 7 attack, and it's not Vast, okay, and no shadow, so that was good. I lose her. I had killed Thruk the previous round, but a Bridal Biter had come into play, so I'm defending that one now. Discard a random card, and another Bridal Biter. Not a fan of those guys, and I'm not happy about that because I really don't have a way to get rid of it, and I've already had to deal with 1 Bridal Biter coming in last round, so now I gotta take another attack from it, and we get another Bridal Biter. So you can see I'm pretty much just throwing in the towel at this point. It's just this enemies swarming. There's no way I can overcome this. So those shadows don't do anything, but I can't take on all these enemies with the current board state, so it's pretty much just a loss. I'm just finishing out the turn. It was at this point I realized Quick Strike and any other way I could do direct damage to enemies would be good, so that's when I also put in Firefoot to try to kill some of these smaller enemies so I didn't have to worry about Bridal Biters coming into play. Okay, final thoughts. First of all, look at this mess. This is a Rohan army. This has been very hard to accomplish before this A Long Extended Party Deluxe came out. The reason being, these Rohan cards, you have to, they leave play. And then you have to somehow get more Rohan allies into play. Well, then you have to have them in your hand, and you have to be able to pay for them. And you just always felt like you were fighting 2 battles, against the encounter deck and against your own mechanics, where you just couldn't do both. It was just always a losing battle. And the Long Extended Party solved some of that. And, Thingol is really a good hero. He has that ability, after an ally is discarded, to put another ally into play exhausted. That is not overpowered, because you had to somehow get that ally into play, and then you had to discard it, and so you're just replacing the ally. It's a net gain of nothing, except you pulled an ally out of your deck, and perhaps you got lucky. I mean, perhaps you discarded something that cost 1 and had an interplay benefit, and the card you get into play is a much more expensive ally. I mean, that can work out in your favor. And the trick really is understanding the mechanics of Rohan and how to benefit from that. And gambling, I think, is really the ultimate combo with Thingol, because that means that ally you're discarding is also coming back into your hand. So now you've actually gained. You're actually gaining, because you had an ally in play, that ally is now in your hand, and you got an ally back in play again. So you actually gained in that case. You didn't lose a card from your play area in hand just to gain a card into your play area. You've lost a card from your play area, but you've gained a card in your hand, and you've gained a card in the play area. So This is a really excellent combo, and I think I just got extremely lucky that I was able to find it on turn 1 with this Need Brooks No Delay, which is just, this is just a power card. This is the card that you can use to get your Rohan deck moving as fast as possible. Spending 1 resource, if you have 3 Rohan heroes, to get a key combo piece into play is huge. And so it's really fun too. And if you ever listen to the podcast, that's always my thing. Is it fun? Are you having fun? And this made it fun. I love searching the top 10 cards. I don't know what I'm going to get, but I know I'm going to get something. It's 10 cards. And I just love it. It's just so much fun to play this card. The other cards that were introduced that really help the Rohan deck, this is the kind of ally I really like. You get 2 choices. She's powerful, questing for 2 hit points. I just, if you've played this game, 2 hit points is huge. So that's really fun. Morwen, she allowed me to just keep staying at the exact same point of the game because I could handle anything that was thrown at me. And because I had an ally leaving play, I just kept dropping my threat back down. So I was just hovering at 38 threat for many rounds and just building this army, which was very fun. The Squire is also really cool. I like it that, it's so cheap, but you can really do cool things with it. And you saw, I just left it there until I had the right time to do it. And I think Hama, where did I throw Hama? There he is. Hama, to me, is almost like the most excellent target for this, because if you look at Hama, at the end of the phase, you discard him. And she can put him back into play, exhausted. Well, that's fine, because he leaves at the end of the combat phase. And so he will be exhausted going into the end of the round, which means he's ready when you start the next round. And that means he's ready for the next combat phase, which is when you would want to use him anyway. So this combo was excellent. Getting Hama back in for 1 resource. Love it. Really, really cool. So, did this fix Rohan? Yeah. I mean, it made it viable. It made it feel like, okay, I have a chance to build a Rohan army. Okay, let's talk about the quest. So I love horses. I really do. And that's one of the reasons I really like Rohan, is I love, they're like the cowboys of Middle-earth, riding horses around. And so this was really cool. I really liked claiming these objectives more than a Mumak. I thought, the different horses having different effects. I wish I'd remembered to use them more, but I found just this theme of the quest. Someone stole our horses. We got to get them back. I just thought that was cool. I really, really enjoyed it. I love a quest with these types of objectives because it's almost like a new game when you have an objective that you have to try to complete like this or something like this. Manipulating the main mechanics of the quest. I always just like quests in general that have one of these objective cards. There's lots of them in the game, and this one was a fun one. Stolen Steeds. The Vast keyword was really cool. I think that's a great idea because it felt immersive where the Rohan quest was taking place over this huge area. You have this huge area of Rohan with these plains, and you're searching everywhere for these stolen steeds, and of course the more horses you have your characters on, the more ground you can cover. So that was a really interesting mechanic. I really enjoyed it, and just overall, excellent quest. I think it was my favorite of the 3, which surprised me because I thought I was going to enjoy the first quest the most, but this is the one I ended up enjoying the most, and I'm really looking forward to replaying it without a Rohan deck. I just want to see how to play it when I'm not using a deck that has lots of mounts. Maybe it'll make it a lot harder, but I don't know. I had a great time. Our new steed that we got, the light-footed steed, the mount here, obviously works excellent when you're discarding a character every round. So, great job, guys. Really liked it. A+.